You're not gonna believe what I bought. Well, you saw the thumbnail, so you have a pretty good idea, but let's take a look. Oh my God. I like this Stevie Wonder gradation that's going on here. Okay, now this is where it gets messy. The lighting in here is terrible. Come over to this side. And we get to here, and it looks like the body is split in half. And the gap on the front and back where the binding should be, the gap should only be to this line here. But then there's another 1/4 inch. And then there's a nail holding it together there. Another nail there. Actually, it wasn't until I started filming that I noticed all of these nails, and they're coming out. But hey, at least it was grounded, eh? Ooh, let's see if the pickup works. See if I can just snake this in. That's what he said. Nope. There's no reading. What was that? Yeah. Looks like we might have a pickup here. Let's take out the electronics and see where we are left. Oops, scratched the output jack. Now the guitar's ruined. I know, I don't have the right tool. Sometimes you don't want to look. Oh, shoot. So, generally speaking, you want to tie some dental floss and run some lines through this before you push it through. Another piece of the pick guard fell off. At some point there was some kind of sick decal on here, and I think that may have contributed to its eventual destruction. Is that bottom layer just glue? You can see what kind of nail we're working with. They look like they're about 1 inch long and ribbed for her pleasure. That ain't looking so hot. These nails do not want to move. Seems more likely that it'll pull through the back than pull out of the side. I might be best advised to cut these nails. Some bad noises coming out of here. Don't really need dental floss to reach the electronics now. Here is the tone ball. I have this piece out of the clamps, aka rubber bands, and I'm noticing something. Look, it might not have been the person with the nails' fault. I don't know which came first, the nails or the warp, but the side does not remotely align with where it's supposed to go. So we're gonna have to bend this. It looks like we got the same situation with the back too. It will not press into place. Why is this a problem? Well, I had been intending on rebinding this guitar, but perhaps we should go full rat and just leave the binding completely disheveled, but I'm still gonna try and bend this into the proper shape. New plan. Now, I genuinely find these duct taped fret markers to be pretty charming and considered leaving them. However, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, 17, 19. Most of you will have figured out that generally the octave on a guitar type instrument is at the 12th fret or halfway between the nut and the bridge. And so we shall have to remove these duct tape markers. The good news is the Brazilian rosewood underneath actually looks really amazing, and so we'll be able to bring that out too. There's lots of damage to the fretboard we might need to fix. We have a different story on the side dots. We got a 3, a 5, a 6, and an 8. Oh, and a 10. Nice. So it's seeming like there's a chance we might actually learn something on this project, such as side dot installation and fret marker installation, which I already did on my converting an acoustic into a bass, but we'll do it again. We're also going to remove these nut nails and try to adjust the truss rod. I should probably spray something on there in the meantime. The 3 and the 5 are actually foil tape, or glued on foil. A few years ago, I made this Frankenstein bass. It's a Kent tailpiece, a K pickup, a Kasuga body, which is a very thin Japanese arch top, and a Univox fretless neck. But it up and decided to explode on me. And so, I'm now gonna harvest it for parts. You can see I took advantage of these metal hold tabs in the tailpiece, which was for guitar, and just added this little slotted bass tailpiece part instead. $1964, looking pretty rusty. Expert wiring job. Robertson screws are the best screws.
Today's video is brought to you by a 50-year-old box of Robertson screws.
Robertson screws are the best motherfucking screws. Let's see if my bass tailpiece that I concocted will fit on this one. Oh, heck yeah, it will. Can't find the bridge that was on that bass, so I'm gonna look through my footage of disassembling it and see where it might have gone. Like a psychopath, I put it in my box of bridges. Was this it? I think this was it. Wow, it wasn't until looking at this I remembered I had one of these basses before because I had to replace this piece. Let's see if I can find the old ad. Maybe I sold it on Reverb. I gave the truss rod nut a couple of tightens past finger tight, and we'll just have to wait till there's string tension to actually see if it does anything. It didn't seem to straighten it much. It was already pretty straight. There's a little bit of bow, but good enough for hand grenades. Now, do we do inlays? It's so odd that the side of the fretboard is painted black when it's Brazilian rosewood. There's a difference in color between the scraped and non-scraped. classic dot. Okay, now I'm getting a reading of the pots and not the pickup, so I'm gonna detach it from the pots and see if we actually get a reading from it. I'm telling you, man, you gotta get off the pots. That ain't right at all. Yeah, there we go. See? It's cased in wax. Drastically different readings every time. I've gotten 600K. At first I got 6.6K, which is normal. Right now I'm getting 35K, which is just bizarre. The pickup is very rusty, so this could have led to a failure in the windings. Now I put one diode on the actual metal base plate, and I'm getting a normal reading again. The coil is grounded to the base plate, but for whatever reason, the lead is not working anymore, so we're going to try and reflow this solder and see if that rectifies it. I'm not going to pretend to know anything about this, but I have mine set to 699. Because the metal plate is so big,
it's so huge.
Thanks.
it's sort of a heat sink, so getting the solder to melt is taking quite a while. Okay, still got 5.75 on the base plate, and let's see, 22 on the ground cable. Very strange. Let's see if there's continuity from the ground to the other place where I'm getting the reading. How very odd. I'm so confused. All right, consider my mind boggled. So when I attach one end of the meter to the positive end of the coil and touch the ground, I'm getting a 30K reading. However, when I touch this part of the base plate, I get a normal 5.7K, which is what the coil probably reads. So what that tells me is the coil ground is grounded to this piece, and yet the continuity from this piece to this piece is interrupted, probably by rust. But why does it then read 29 to 23K? What is causing it to be quadrupled? So if I ground this to this, will that cause a problem? Or should I just run a lead from the base plate tab here? See what happens when I touch them both simultaneously while putting the positive on here. Pretty normal, 5.7K. So I think if I ground this piece to the rest of the plate, then the lead should work again. So let's try that. Okay, let's just hope I don't ruin this. Now, let's see. Here's the lead. One end on the ground, and this. And yeah, our lead should work now. Great. All right, these are CTS pots. That's what 137 stands for, 1963 in the 22nd week. So I'm gonna see if I can clean these up and stretch that back out so that we can keep it original. All right, that looks okay. Now, you know what comes next. Lloyds. Ooh, dripping. We're dripping today, boys and girls and thems. Everybody. Everybody's welcome here at Not a Luthier. You know that, right? And everyone's welcome with Lloyd's. Now that that's all cleared up, let's hook this back to the pots and test the output and then put it back in the base. That's all buttoned up. In my experience, when you have both of your potentiometers dimed, there should be no interference from the coil, and you should end up with an accurate coil reading. And here we go, 5.75K. Perfect. Somehow I can't find an entire amplifier. It's pretty large too. So I'm going to use my daughter's tiny little amplifier to test this pickup. PV, tone. It's sketchy, but it works. And I'm putting that back in the base. Before I put it in, this thing broke. These split shaft spline motherfuckers. I wonder if I can solder them back together. Wow, doesn't it look like it was already just hanging on by a tiny hinge there? See what I mean? Okay, not working so far. Got a cool burn in the shape of half a shaft of a pot. The cool thing that happened is the vise fell off the desk and ripped this cable. So that's dope. One last attempt before I just rewire this thing. Looking amazing. I'm looking like a stage 10 welder, whatever the terminology. The other one broke. Pretty nice tan lines. Should we just leave it bare or make a guard? Now that everything's off, I think I want to clean it. The good news is this black stuff actually washes off. The bad news is it takes a lot of effort. I wonder if I should buff this with some compound or polish or something. Hi, Buggy. Hi. What's going on? What do you think? Should I buff it? New plan. Just gonna use knobs that have set screws. Oh, that one fell off already. Let's see if I can get it deep enough. How deep is your screw? How deep is your screw? It worked. All right, moving on. Did I leave my soldering iron on all night? You tell me. I thought these were supposed to automatically turn off. The cool thing about these speed bump pickups is they have the integrated spring steel, so you don't need to try to fish springs in, but you do have to put it all the way in and then pull it back up, which can be problematic. But there's an easy solution. So this is where I would have the floss to the pots. It would be going through these holes out here and tied to the pot so you can pull them back in, but we don't need to do that today. Neck still far from done, but let's go for tuners first because that's easiest. Head on down to Tucson, Arizona here. I think we'll just go over some of these guys. Now I need some ferrules too. I've been calling them ferules, but somebody told me I was a fool. And I pity the fool that calls ferrules for rules. That rhymes. They're all coming up too big or too loose. I found the perfect set. Will they fit the tuning machines? Yep. Okay. These are a nice vintage set. Now these aren't as big as the plates on the originals, but it looks like a set of these has been on there at some point in this guy's life too. For 1963, I feel like double line Kluson is probably correct, but I'm sure somebody in the comments can let me know, or I can just Google it. By Google it, I mean search 1963 instruments that would have had Klusons and check their tuners. Last one. I didn't even check their projection above the headstock before I screwed them in. Let's see if it's adequate. I'm going to clean these out, hammer them down, and glue them as necessary. For whatever reason, the treble side seems to have fared better with fret retention than the bass side. You see a lot of these are coming up. Now, am I going to sit here and tell you that setting up a bass is much easier than setting up a guitar? Yes, yes I am. It is much easier, it's much more forgiving. And also the action is higher to begin with, so you've got more room for error. And that's a good thing. Now you can see there's still some chatter on these frets. There was when I got it, and the razor blade kind of just continues them, and so I might come through with a little stick with some sandpaper and clean up these pieces of fretboard. Will it matter for playing? Not at all. It's just aesthetic, really. I am admiring the clean look of the markerless fretboard, so I'm just going to put in little side dots. Now that's partly an aesthetic decision, but it's also partly due to A, laziness, and B, I'm trying to come out with a video every week for you guys, but a lot of these projects take longer. This weekend was a 4-day weekend. As a single parent, that means not a lot of time to work on guitars. I'm ignoring my child right now, in fact, and it's family day in BC, so I should probably finish this up real quick and go be a family dude. Not gonna lie, I half-assed this board. There's still lots of chatter. Again, does not matter for playability, and this is a rat rod. So, aesthetics, F it. Let's put in some plastic side dots. Again, very lazy, but I want to do minimal damage to the actual original finish here. I don't know why it was painted, I mentioned that, but it was. And so, it's harder to put in like pearl or abalone inlays there without destroying it. So I'm gonna go with plastic and hope for the best. Well, butter my board and call me biscuits. We still need to make a nut. Probably need to make a bridge, or just modify the one I already have that I made before. And then we can string this puppy up, I think. Oh right, I still need to glue in the missing portion of the body. All right, let's get good work. Okay, hilariously, that still sucks, but it's back together. Because it's so high, I'm going with what would be called a saddle blank instead of a nut blank, and it actually is the right width of the original, maybe a hair shy on that side. A typical nut blank is frequently about this thick, and look, it's level with the fretboard at best. Just double checking I got the right size drill bit here. All right, she goes in, she's good. I'm cutting them off proud so that I don't dig in with my my nippers. Maybe I should let the glue dry before I do this. This bag of side dot material only had 4 sticks, but it turns out I only used about half a stick for the whole neck. And that's with leaving them proud. So plenty of material, even though you're getting ripped off. Like paying money for 4 little pieces of plastic is pretty funny. Nothing I could do about the previous damage, but here they are. They look bad, but they fit the aesthetic. Looks like as many bucks as I paid for it. Actually, it looks like less than that. All right, next up we're gonna put the neck on. That way we can align the tailpiece. Oh my. Now, as always, go backwards until you hear it click or feel it click. There we go. I realize I never saw this with the neck on before. There's quite a gap on the treble side. It probably explains the crack. And crack is a synonym for gap. Brought to you by The Gap. I drilled pilot holes, 4 of them. And now I'm putting in some screws. As I held up, it felt a little longer. This is a little further away than I'm used to. I usually play a 30-inch scale, and I measured it, and it's actually a 31-inch scale base, which is very unusual. Love that. Divisible by 3. Perfect. 11mm spacing. Round or flat? Round or flat? The Ernie balls are too short. The chromes are too short. We'll try these guys out. I feel like this would only work if I made it a lefty and had this be the low E. Or if I could extend the range of the tailpiece. Maybe try a little modest modification first. You see it's a multi-tiered taper here. There's the bare wire, first winding. And this is where it was stopping last time, so we're gonna see if we can get past the second winding to the third winding. That's where I'm worried that it will probably break the core, but we'll find out. I managed to get to E like this, but it's sketchy and the nut is still way up there, so. All right, everything's a mess as usual, but had one more seam to glue up, have 4 strings on, no bridge. Nut, I only slotted the E and the E-A-D-G, the G, and now I'm laying out the spacing for the other 2. How's that look? Is that good? No, it's a little wide in the middle. Why am I so soft in the middle? The rest of pretty close. I can always dial it in as I'm filing. I can skew to one side or the other to get it better angle. All right, now that they're slotted to depth, I can finish up this nut aesthetically and get the slots to be a little less deep, because when they're this deep, there's a high likelihood you're going to chip the bone, as I did there. Now I'm going to tune it up to pitch with this bridge on there, see where the intonation is, and then see how much I'm going to have to lower that bridge to get the action right. I guess I could also shim the neck, which would be advantageous because this pickup wants to come up quite a bit before the springs kick in. Or did they break off on that side? What's going on? For some reason, that side... Oh. Okay. The cover's just loose. I gotta melt that cover back on. Is that also my sign from this screw to make a pick guard? What do you think? Maybe I will make a pick guard and a truss rod cover for the outro footage for when I'm demoing the bass. No. Transparent yellow. All right, I decided I'm gonna shim the neck. That way we get to keep the brake angle over the bridge, and higher action often means more output in a hollow body. Not that this is an acoustic instrument, but then I can raise the pickup and there'll be less opportunity for vibrations, unwanted vibrations. Know what I'm saying? And no, it's not going to be a fancy shim. It's just going to be a piece at the end and hope for the best. A small shim goes a long way. So we're gonna take that shim out and put in a thinner one. See how thin that is? It's like 1/2 millimeter, but it's still too thick. So I'm going for more like 1/4 millimeter now. Small problem. The wooden piece doesn't allow the grounding of the strings. Demo's going badly, I really hate it. Sometimes you just need to take a minute. Sometimes demoing a bass solo feels weird and lame. Actually, my first instrument was my Fender Mustang bass, which I've got a video for. And I had that with no amp and nobody to jam with, and it wasn't really any fun. Well, I've got you here. Holy shit, you watched all the way to here? Thank you very much. It's free to subscribe to the channel, and it would help me out. And if you're watching my videos already, it's already going to recommend them to you, so you might as well do it. Thanks.